And we're live, folks. Back again. This is your host of Lit Literature, JP, a.k.a. The Demon. I know it's live just kind of, but it is for us. And I'm still going to say that every goddamn time.
It's not live for us either.
No, we're alive.
Why he says
we're alive right now, bro. All
we're alive, but we're not live.
We are alive right now.
Man, you're doing this for your cats. You're live for your cats.
Oh, my God.
And I'm live for me, too. And I'm watching it right over there. So here we go. Let's go real quick around the table. We're obviously talking about the Alloy of Law. This is discussion number 2. We talked a lot about a reaction to the world last time. We're definitely getting into the story. So, who's here?
Got the cherry?
Josh?
Brett, the director.
Ben, the hitman.
Manny, Eam the Dream.
So dreamy.
Yes. All right. So, with that said, Alloy of Law, this has been an interesting conversation so far. We're learning a lot. I'm excited, and cheers! And we're back, back to talk about Alloy of Law. So here we go. Story time, guys. What? Don't talk back. All right, story time. So this is discussion 2. We talked a lot about the world last discussion. Let's talk a little bit about the story. So, first off, maybe it's just me, but I actually enjoyed the Western noir vibe in the book. And I'm really excited for the next few because of that fact. I also like kind of reading about, so maybe I have this weird thing, right? This comes back to my FF10 days. I remember playing FF10.
Final Fantasy X.
That's correct. Final Fantasy X back when I was a freshman or sophomore. One of those two. It's freshman, I think.
Spoiler alert.
Not going to say anything, but I was always like, man, we are getting a little close to the main character's ages. And what's going to happen when we're older? This is what my mind was thinking. Mm-hmm. And then I pinpointed on Orin. And I'm like, oh, no worries. Orin's the main character in one of these fun stories. And he's like 33 or something ancient.
Oh, what an old man. He should just die already.
He even had gray in his hair. He was so old.
Oh, my God.
And so...
Shut up. He was not that young.
Yeah, he was that young, man. It was like 35
God.
or something. Like, I think, for real.
20s.
So, and I remember pinpointing, in my mind, I'm like, man, okay, in my mind, I still have an opportunity to go on an adventure.
35.
It's all good.
35.
So I'm like this. So here's it.
Thank God, at least I'm not that old.
So
someone is. All right, Dick.
Yes, I am.
I know.
A few of us. All right. So anyway, the point is, though, I enjoy reading about a 42-year-old who's still, breaking legs, shooting guns, flying like mad crazy.
Because has 20-year-old girls coming after him.
Because as I get there, and I will continue to get there, I'm like, there's still hope. So basically, I don't mind ever reading about that. I just find it curious. When I was young, I'm not sure.
Don't worry, Jeff. When you're like 50, you'll be reading The Lord of the Rings again. I'm like Gandalf.
Yeah, I know. Aragorn's like 86. Aragorn's like 86. We're all good, man.
Still has some life in it. He's got it going on. Come on.
I'm going to go on an adventure one day.
Yeah.
I've been on quite a few adventures. I think we have, thankfully. But all the same, it's just to keep them going.
Yeah.
So, but story-wise, I enjoyed that piece of it. I like the Western vibe mainly because I see Sanderson now wanting to put his Mistborn universe through like rapid change. So, because 3,000 years before, zero change whatsoever. Preservation was essentially ruling. in a way. He kind of had ruin tied up. Now we're in harmony mode, and we could grow and change. And so I know that's why we're going to get all these eras. And it was cool for me. I like Westerns anyway, and I certainly like noir. I have a sweet spot in my heart for Dresden. I'm not saying this is Dresden noir, but I like it. You know, so this.
Oh, Dresden Noir can't even be compared to this.
Yeah. A little bit.
I
It's got that similar
said
character.
I'm not saying that, but I like the dabble, and I like where he's going with it. So I'm looking forward to this. Story wise, I liked how it started because it caught you. It gets you into it. You're in the West, in the what do they call it? The hill, not the hills. The
Roughs?
The roughs.
The roughs.
Thank you.
Okay.
They're out in the roughs, and our main character makes like a terrible accidental mistake.
Now, really quick, I have a question. As far as we know so far, because I would assume that Cosmere stories, for the most part, seem like the reason that they all exist in the same universe is because eventually, like, I assumed that he was kind of going for like this almost like Marvel universe type thing where that eventually things start kind of combining, but there's like no part of Mistborn that makes me feel like it's going to combine with Stormlight. It seems like so different. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think it'll combine unless you get a world hopper, which we got one world hopper. But
we have people that can go from worlds to worlds, and
I don't think it'll combine, but I think there'll be a bigger picture story going on in all of the universes that actually I know Sanderson will write about at some point.
And it'll probably, instead of being like, oh, this character from this series, it's more likely going to be the characters that we already know, like Wit and some of those others, but it's going to be like, oh, these guys have powers from this realm and they're using this type of stuff and that's bleeding over into this, and we're starting to kind of get some of that crossover. I think it'll be more the magic systems are going to get crossed over versus the characters, is how it feels to me in terms of the end game. That's my guess.
because it's starting to feel like this world is following a similar kind of like path as our world, but with magic. Whereas like the Stormlight solar system, or whatever you want to call it, I don't know exactly how it's all laid out, seems like not really related at all.
I think in one of the short stories it was kind of addressed a little bit, and I do think that the Mistborn universe was modeled very closely off of the original universe of the people who are now gods. So I think that might be like our universe, like an equivalent to it. Maybe not ours in the story, but ours in that particular. That's why, like, when they created people, they were modeled after us or themselves. So I think that the Mistborn might actually be the closest to what we would get as if a new world were to be modeled after
The original
ours.
one or whatever
Yeah.
it was.
But I mean, I could be totally wrong, but I think so. I can't remember because Sanderson in the Arcanium Unbound, he talks about each system before the short story. It's gravity, it's like natural, did it pre-exist before or after? And Mistborn was actually Scadrial, that world and universe was created from scratch.
Yeah, by
Whereas if-
Harmony and Ruin together.
Yeah, well, but preservation.
For preservation.
But the
Preservation.
Stormlight actually existed out in space on its own. It's got like 0.7 gravity to our standard 1 gravity. It was there, and they just kind of took it over, which is different because now you're tying in flora, fauna, biological life of an
From
alien
another planet.
with creating a humanoid-like world and tying them together, and so that may be part of that.
So do you think that they did? Maybe we even know this already, but do you feel like how do you think the original people went to Stormlight, or to the Stormlight world? Do you think that they went through
They went through
world
the
hopper means?
Yeah, they went. I think they said we
Yeah,
know this
forget.
now. I'm trying to remember. I think they came through the cognitive realm.
Well, they said it was who's the original the guy who had the honor blade that was the bondsmith. He was the one who discovered the means to get off their dying planet and get to this one,
new
and
one.
they brought well, spoilers everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Shoot.
Actually,
Put it at the beginning of the episode that there's some Stormlight spoilers.
Yeah.
well, there hasn't been a lot yet, but if we're gonna talk any more on it, we should definitely flag it.
Yeah,
I'll
maybe,
flag it
maybe we
anyway.
shouldn't get off this book
Yeah.
too much. I was just kind of curious how it all fit together, but I don't think we fully know yet.
But we'll save all that stuff for the revisits, because the revisits are open to Cosmere galore, whatever, right? So anyway, back to this story. I did like the idea of him being a wild, kind of off, essentially cousin of a noble house. And you know how it is when noble houses have heirs in command. They got to find other things to do with the rest of the family. And he was very happy out in the roughs doing his calling, you know, feeling like he can make a difference in the world to some extent, looking for that. Yet he has to come back and take over the house. And
Yeah, it feels very like it's we don't know it at the very beginning, but we kind of like as we go through the series learn about how it probably wasn't a random
yeah.
event. It was a very focused effort to get him back, which is odd. And we probably don't know who maybe did that forcing him back, because it doesn't seem like it was his uncle.
Well, no, was.
It definitely was.
Oh, did he say it was his uncle?
Yeah. Well, I mean, his uncle didn't want it to be him, but he ran out of options because of.
Oh, his son was sick, apparently. Had a sickness and died.
And
I guess.
of a disease.
Yeah, and then they had some other. He said it at the end. He's like, well, I had somebody else in line to take it. I don't think it was his son. It was some other person, and something happened, and he's like, the plans were already in motion, so we needed somebody to take over the house. So
Because he just disappeared. He's like, I'm going to
Yeah. He
fake
faked his
my...
own death.
He died,
Yeah.
apparently. And he died.
Yeah.
Now, I gotta be honest though. How many of you saw that coming? I didn't see it coming.
No, I didn't see it.
No,
I forgot about it too. Second time I didn't see it coming.
I think it's crazy too.
I was like, that son of a bitch is still alive.
So his uncle hired or got that murderer guy to then somehow, like, it seems like it was very crazy because the murderer was like had Leslie.
Oh.
Lassie.
No, I
know?
think that whole
go with
situation
Lassie.
was independent of what's going on with the uncle.
Yeah.
Really? Because that seemed
Yeah.
to be like
Yeah, that scene
because-
was just you getting a backstory of
But
Yeah,
that scene
him being in the
also
roughs.
seemed to be very maybe that's what I was talking about was being set up by the uncle. And I honestly
think it
didn't
was.
think it was, but it was something that was by design to bring him back. Because you get the feeling that maybe if the uncle was like, oh, our family house isn't destitute, if he still had Leslie or whatever her name is, he might not have ever left. And what was really weird is at the very end, like he made the shot and the guy just like perfectly planned it. And then it was like, like that's it. You've done it. And he's like,
Yeah.
he just kills him. And the
Yeah,
guy's like,
you're
yeah.
right. Maybe
that-
I mean he could have set it up to help bring him back, but I also think
But why would the uncle want him back?
the uncle needed him back because
To run the house.
he was
No, but then he killed him. He tried to kill him though.
he didn't want to. But
It was the
people that are a
partners
part
or-
of people that are a part of his committee or whatever his group
yeah.
wanted to
Yeah.
kill him.
Yeah.
There's like a bigger thing going on. They pooled their resources, faked their deaths apparently,
Well, at least
and actually they won the game. At the end, you find out that
Oh, yeah.
all that
They
they
brought
needed
down the
to
house.
do was to bring down the cost on the one family's banking assets so they could buy it all. That was that entire thing. You're reading it from Wax's perspective, but the entire thing was a great stock maneuver.
yeah, it was
That was part of it. That wasn't the whole reason.
Because they also
Because
got
we
the
still
woman.
don't know why they.
Oh, they also still have all the women. Oh
All-
my
yeah.
god, I forgot about that.
And we still
That's
don't
terrible.
we still don't really know if the uncle is like really in on that part of it.
No,
right?
he's in on
Oh,
it.
he
Yeah,
is.
they're doing
he
it.
must
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, he absolutely. And I think Wax even asked him, like, where are they?
Yeah,
No, I
and
thought
he's
I thought at the end Wax
You'll never
says
prove
like,
anything.
you know, I don't know exactly how deep into it you are. I thought that was like something
well,
that
he
Wax
doesn't
said.
know, but we're pretty sure he's on
Yeah,
the inner circle.
he's one of the leaders of. There's apparently a little council of people doing something specifically.
Let me ask you this: do you guys feel like potentially the sisters in on it too?
Who
With
was
the-
Steris
No.
or
Wait, which one?
Nah, what-
His sister, Wax's sister.
Wax's sister?
Oh,
I don't think so because they
Because
said
she
like
died
she's
with.
safe.
She was supposed to die with
Yeah,
him.
and
though.
Uncle said she's safe.
She's safe.
Yeah, but it made it
somewhere.
sound like that like I didn't kill her. Like the way it sounded like is it's.
Well, yeah. Wouldn't the uncle want it to sound like that?
That is true. Also, I don't think she'll be part
She
of it.
would.
Uncle.
Pan.
Wouldn't she be part of the breeding program if there was a breeding program?
Oh, dude, that'd be
Potentially.
terrible.
Yeah,
dude.
that
If I
could
was,
be.
Or she's like a consultant. How does all this women stuff work again?
you know what? I honestly, it gives me like terrible, terrible feelings to be like, holy crap! All of the women who were abducted are part of this breeding program, and Wax saved his betrothed,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and I'm like, what? There was like what? 15 other women already
No,
taken?
it's only like 4 or 5.
4 or 5,
Yeah,
yeah.
it wasn't a lot.
just 4 or 5 in the
Yeah,
breeding
but
program.
better.
Oh,
yeah.
that makes me like disgusted and sick. I'd be
know.
like, I feel like Wax should be more urgently attacking that.
Maybe he
Well,
will
he
in the next
is.
book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's injured and trying to recover.
Yeah.
Well, he also swiped the book, which
He
was
did swipe
awesome.
the
That
book.
he's like,
Yes.
screw you and your meal, and he just like threw it off and managed to like grab his planner.
There's
which is
also a
pretty
part
sweet.
of me that kind of feels like the uncle I don't know. There's a part of me that wonders if the planner is going to be like a
plant.
a plant. Yeah. I kind of got the feeling that maybe we're going to realize that stealing the planner ends up biting us in the ass in the upcoming books. But hopefully not. I'd love to see the bad guys lose and lose hard.
I feel
but
like
there's 3 more
wait,
books.
I feel
so
like
I feel
with the-
like
yeah, no,
there's going to be
yeah.
obstacles.
If there's one thing I remember, it's not easy wins. So
Yeah.
I don't think we're in that
Yeah.
boat.
I doubt if it was like, oh, that was easy. It'd be 3 books. You know, it'd be maybe another novella.
Well, I did like the setup though, and the I liked the clash of him essentially living for quite some time in the roughs, yet wearing a super pinup suit kind of like
yeah,
getup.
like nice.
Like he's always dressed so proper, and you can kind of tell in his background he's like, well, I did it for this reason and just for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I really like. So
Just
he's
a
a
city dandy.
fast.
That was a Sanderson
Sure.
book, wasn't it? Maybe not, but didn't we read a book recently where one of the quotes was, "It's nice when duty and desire."
Stormlight, yeah.
Yeah, it's nice when duty and desire cross paths or something like that.
Well, he reminds me
That's
he's a
the
little
suit
bit
for him. It was both strategical and he just wanted to look good.
yeah. It's almost like he has a little Adolin in him, and
Yeah.
I'm wondering where this keeps coming up because Sanderson's characters keep having like a flair for wanting to dress and look good.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to come from Sanderson because every time I see him, he's wearing like a t-shirt, and a t-shirt with a blazer.
Well, he's got the blazer.
He's got the blazer.
Yeah, t-shirt and a blazer.
Maybe the
Yeah.
blazer is like his
That
best
side,
effort.
that
yeah,
side.
it's that side
It's
of
that
him.
side
Yeah.
coming out. Yeah. But I gotta say,
I didn't think that he wanted to be all suited up to look good. He was using it strategically, and then he also used it to keep his own identity and not get like overwhelmed by the roughs and become like it.
that's a great point. But he also admits to just liking it.
Yeah.
like,
He
"Oh,
may
I
have
just like
he
it."
may have come to learn to like it also.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Potentially.
I agree. I think it was definitely a tool where he's just like people would be twofold, like to remind or like to be like I'm not of the roughs or like that I can be. I don't want to say like he's
Civil.
better
Well,
than
you're
the
either a
roughs, but,
dandy
like,
or you're respected instantly, and so you're either underestimated or respected.
yeah.
Yeah.
He was
Sure.
trying to bring also the civilization
to the roughs. Yeah,
He wanted to
exactly.
keep that as a symbol. But
Yeah.
I mean, these are all reasons he did it. It wasn't one or none.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah, I
good
also
point,
like
Ben.
how what's her face? Marcy?
Marcy.
Marcy?
I think you said
No,
it right.
it's-
Marcy. Lady Marcy.
Lady Mark.
How do you say it, Manny?
Lady Marcy.
Oh, I thought you said Marcy. I was like, it's not Marcy.
So I think
Lady Marcy.
I think-
High five, we got it!
I got it. The one who didn't audiobook. So I think Marcy said that, or Marcy said,
You lost it.
I lost it. It's gone.
We lost it.
We'll never find it again. But I think I like the thing that she said is that she's like, oh, you guys like think that the roughs are like way worse and everything, but then she starts like listing off the statistics, and she's like, how many people are out there? She's like, we actually have less constables here than you do. Like, you guys are more heavily policed out there. And they're like, but you think that like that the crime rate's so much higher, but if you think about it, there's only like 500 people. If one person gets murdered in that town, that's a big deal. Whereas we have 500,000 people. We have murders daily. Like, people just don't pay attention because of the numbers.
Yeah.
So I thought that was like a cool. I thought that was a cool introduction to pull him, because he tended to be like, like I was doing something there. I was like saving people. And then he gets pulled into the city, and it's just like, I can't do anything because of the constables, and like they need to do all this stuff, and they have their rules. And like, I think she played a really big part in being like, you can have a home here too. Like, there's shit that goes down in the city too. Like, it's not like it's just the roughs are the outlaw, like crazy.
I actually like the setup
place.
of that whole scene, by the way. I like the whole, they go to the wedding, there were certain people not invited. And he's like learning some of this like political stuff.
Yeah.
From Steris. And you know, you get a little bit more from the dad. You originally think he's just a giant asshole, and then it turns out that
He's just under her thumb as well. Like,
he's just kind of like,
yeah.
Oh, I get it. But you learn like a lot about these characters that immediately come off as kind of off-putting throughout the book. Even though you don't get a lot of time with them, the time that you do spend with them, I felt was very productive in a way, like kind of story-wise. So the other thing I really liked is that whole scene with Wayne. He's
Just
a
showing up
waiter,
as a
and he's just
waiter.
like suddenly he'll be like in his whole duster, like sitting and eating, and then he'll just like be back. Like, the speed bubbles sound so awesome.
I think that
want a
was
speed bubble.
probably the first part where I was like, okay, I'm starting to get into this book.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That whole fight scene, because like everything before it is super kind of like not annoying, but it's also just like, oh my gosh, like you're getting through Wax's kind of like rough spot where he's like,
But it was
I'm doing
so
everything
fast.
for this.
I felt like when we read a long book,
That's true.
it's like you're just sitting in that, dwelling in that atmosphere of the character for so long, and this was like,
yeah, but
it
I
was
feel
like
like you
20
you
minutes.
experience that more.
I feel like-
You feel like there's more development when you get to experience like the character going through it, and you getting the internal conflict that they're feeling, and that drives me in. That's like what I think is a big part of story is character development, and
for
kind
sure.
of getting drawn in by the character. So when you don't have as much time on them, it kind of loses its really like flavor for me.
I think I must connect more with some of these characters because I don't need as much to be drawn in. Like, I'm pretty drawn in to Wax's, like, he fucked up and then, excuse my French, but essentially he messed up. He killed his love. And like, I'm drawn in, like I'm in. And then he's like weighed by this responsibility and this like love of what he's trying to do that I could connect with so well. It doesn't take a lot. Like, I need only 20 minutes and I'm good. Like, I'm connected. So it could just be my connection to the characters in that sense. The weight of the responsibility and the freedom that he's like bearing connects a lot to me. Like, I feel very, very much like I did not need much time. I actually appreciated it because I was already emotionally tied early. And then, you know, after that, I'm just like, yeah, I just need him to make decisions that progress the story.
Yeah.
And so to me, I didn't feel that, but I totally get it. If you're not connecting to any of the characters at this point, maybe you do need that, or you need more something. Because, like, at that point, I was like, Wax, you better get your gun. Wayne's telling you to get your gun, kind of thing. and I was like into it. So it's just maybe a different connection at that point.
Yeah, I was into it straight from the beginning. I don't know if it's if I would have been like that if I hadn't read other Sanderson stuff. Maybe I was just on board because I knew it was Sanderson. I have no idea, but I was connected to Wax pretty much straight away. And it was also, I didn't really think about this when we talked about it in the last episode, in the first discussion, but it's also kind of interesting how we said, like, oh, he's a fully formed, kind of like already has his skills, but the very first chapter we get is those skills coming up short and him basically killing the person that he loves. So that's also kind of...
Despite his skills.
Despite his skills. Because, if, he may be unbelievably good, but maybe if he was a little better, that wouldn't have happened. Who knows?
Yeah, and I still think at some point that scene is gonna come back as a flashback and be like, you remember that I was controlling the whole thing type thing.
Oh yeah,
that could totally
right.
Yeah,
they kind of like the guy had like this like gleam in his eye, and he's like, oh yeah, you're gonna shoot me, and just like the shot he's made a million times, and it's always worked. He just like bunk, just pulls her head right into it, and then he's like, she dies, and instead of being like ah ha ha and runs away, he's like, ha, I've done it. All right, we're good. All right, peace. Kill me. Like that doesn't make sense. There's definitely more there that's gonna come at some point.
Well, I mean to go back to the thing that you said earlier, the uncle is already proven to have people in his grasp that are willing to die for the cause.
That is,
the butler knew he was gonna die when he set off that bomb.
Well, yeah, when he set off the bomb. I think he was like, his first hope was to poison him and then be like, sneak off.
Right.
But
he obviously has people under him that are willing to sacrifice themselves. Oh, was he?
That's what was original.
The idea was to poison them and then blow the bomb up on their dead bodies.
Right.
Like
but when he set off the bomb, he knew he was going to die, though. So he obviously has people under him that are willing to sacrifice themselves for whatever he says.
Yeah.
And that could be, like you said earlier, that guy.
And exactly.
That guy could have just known, well, we got to get him back.
Well, we also got to know that the uncle, too, probably isn't, like, the sole mastermind. There's going to be someone, and that person could have way more resources.
I feel like that scene alone just tells you why you need a buddy that can do that ability.
Oh, my God.
Just pause it and be like, okay, what's our plan?
Yeah, what do we do?
All right, let's look at everything around us real quick. Okay.
I love that he's just sitting there and he's like, and the tea's poisoned. And then he like looks and the butler's pulling a fucking gun out of the thing. He's just like, oh my God, this is awesome.
I also love how
like trying to heal.
I also love how the girl's just like, the fire's coming.
Yeah, they're all talking about it like, well, what do we do? Yeah.
For some reason, I felt like that scene would work really well in film format.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
Like,
I feel like
just-
almost all of Sanderson's books are very cinematic.
it just felt to me
every
like-
time I read his books, I'm just like, I want to make this.
I also think this is maybe jumping a bit very far ahead, but I really like there were two specific things with the speed bubbles, and I'm so fascinated with the speed bubbles. I want to like hear way more about them. But the one scene where he like looks and there's a bullet coming, and it just as soon as it touches the outside, it just like zips through. So he's like, "Oh, there's a bullet coming!" And it just like moves and just like straight through. And also the whole scene at the very where they were talking about like, you shoot out of it, and when
it deflects.
And you know what? You've screwed this for me. You said earlier like, "Oh, just special place in your heart for Dresden," and now every single time I think about it, I'm like thinking of Dresden. All this stuff. Dresden's amazing. But when he shoots out of the bubble and then he starts watching the bullet and where it goes, and then he's like, all right, drop it, and like shoots the bullet. That was a bit nuts. But that was, I love the speed bubbles, kind of how those interaction works. And overall, I think I like Wayne as the most. He's like,
I love
awesome.
Wayne,
He
yeah.
is such a fun kind of character that they built in. Like, maybe a little bit on the stereotypical kind of like funny guy, like in some of the stuff. But
Yeah.
I like a lot of his like just like random idiosyncrasies where he's just like, the hat. It's my lucky hat. Of course I want my hat back. And he's just stealing people's hats. He's like has like his reasoning, his own like, this is I left them a freaking croissant. Like, of course it's okay that I stole the gun.
Don't you dare tell Wayne this, but if he didn't lose my hat, it would have been blown up in that explosion.
Yeah.
So I really I the reason that I like him is he's not just a comedic relief. He plays a very strong purpose in the success of the team at all time. He's essentially like kind of a hidden MVP. They're clearly a partnership. That
because
is
comedic relief characters never do that otherwise.
They do. They do and they don't, right? So like sometimes they are the comedic relief and the partner that is equal weight, and other times they're the Lopin, who is really kind of a side character who doesn't need to pull his weight because there's enough other characters.
Or sometimes the comedic relief is also like the bumbling idiot that always messes
Or the
stuff up
bumbling
and gets
idiot.
them into
But
the
in
bad
this one,
situations.
he's kind of playing that role, but he's extraordinarily capable.
Yeah.
He's jacked. He won't fight with a gun because of his backstory, yet he's an extremely... He one-to-one combats people throughout the battlefield the whole time with his dueling canes. He's clearly very good with people, accents, espionage. He's just a goofball, too. So I do like that. I appreciate it. Even though, yes, it's not unheard of, Manny. But it is, in my opinion, sometimes rare, depending on how many characters you have to play with, if that makes any sense. If you have enough characters to play with, sometimes that bumbling, goofy idiot is a bumbling, goofy idiot and needs to be saved a lot. And I like that Wayne doesn't need to be saved a lot.
Yeah.
He's often left
he is
to his own.
It also feels like he is literally the one like saving the day all the time. He is almost like you think like, okay, Wax is this amazing sharpshooter, like he's the main protagonist, but then you're also kind of like, instead of just being like, oh, this side character in this one moment did the one thing that like saved everything, it's like, no, he is consistently doing everything that needs to be done to save them in every single part.
Wayne could easily have his own books. Like, you could just as easily have him be the main character. That's how, like, interesting he is.
And I know for fact Sanderson was clearly inspired by Sherlock Holmes books, writing this a little bit. So I got on a binge and I read all of them, all the literature on Sherlock Holmes in a single long sitting. When I say long sitting, it was, I think, a few months of audiobooking in a row. But it was amazing because I felt like I needed that material to understand so much current and past source material that I didn't understand how much was connected to that story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he really, Sanderson in the short story made such a purposefully obvious throwback connection when he brings in all the chemistry equipment to the room and literally play by play did the entire scene, like an entire scene from Sherlock Holmes, which is very, I mean, you'll find that exact scene in The Mouse Detective and pretty much anything that ever referenced Sherlock Holmes ever.
That's my reference.
With the bullet. Yeah, the Great Mouse Detective. Like any single piece of medium that reflects Sherlock Holmes, there's this chemistry with the bullet scene.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what they were doing in this.
It's funny though, because in
scene.
terms of like actual characters, like that scene, I get how it definitely plays out, like Sherlock and Holmes. This though,
Yeah, Sherlock and Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes and Watson.
Sorry. Sherlock is more, his personality is more like Wayne, whereas Watson's personality is more like Wax, but Wax is the one who's incredibly intelligent like Sherlock Holmes. So it's a little bit like a flip on some of that. So it's very interesting.
But it's fun. It's kind of a fun thing. And I enjoyed reading that particular scene. Just like, wow, that's funny. He's like literally doing it just like it. I might as well be watching The Great Mouse Detective. I don't even know who Sherlock Holmes is.
Yeah, only the high class people know of Sherlock, The Great Mouse Detective.
Yeah.
That's a great animated movie, folks. If you haven't seen it, watch it.
It's
Manny,
the Great
I'm sorry.
Mouse Detective.
Anyway, but I did enjoy that battle scene too in the wedding, specifically because of all the information we get. We even get led up to Miles a tiny bit.
Yeah.
We get the Kolos blood. That's an introduction to a little bit of what
And the real time we get to see what Wax's powers are and Wayne's powers. Like,
And-
you kind of get a little bit in the beginning, but not.
I did like the Constable too, like after. he's like, 42 dead. I can't believe 42 are dead.
Yeah, and then they're
I
like,
think it was 30,
It was 25, but
25, and 6 captured, right?
yeah. But he's like,
Well, you see how stories work now, Manny.
yeah, I love that scene too. It's like 25. Those people could still be alive.
and he's like, oh, they were
all.
all bad guys.
And then no,
vanishers.
boss, that was 25 bad guys. Yeah. Oh, how many innocents?
Oh, one.
Just the one.
And that was before Wax's.
It was the guy that like stood up and opposed them before
I did
Wax.
feel bad for that guy, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for him though, standing up for what's right.
Yeah, that was a tough scene too for Wax's character, because you're kind of just like, yeah, like you're letting him steal these girls, and he's like, the constables, I need to stay out of it. And then the one old guy's like, no, I'll stand up to you, and then he gets just shot dead. And Wax is like, well, you guys effed up, but like,
I feel like he was right, because if he started taking action, then would have just turned into a bloodbath, like.
Like if that guy didn't do anything, they would have just left.
In all the other robberies, they just stole stuff and people and then left, and they could pick up the trail. But then they
wouldn't have had
killed the guy.
Maracy though, so they might not have ever found the trail.
I know, but then in this case, he was gonna let them loose, and like I don't know.
Well, he says that every time. That's what I got.
But do they know that yet though?
What?
You know,
Wax had already said it a few times. Reports are that they say they'll let him loose, and they don't.
and they
Oh,
don't.
not them, but
the Vanishers.
Miles was gonna let his gang loose on the.
Oh yeah.
civilians,
I'm sorry.
And then
I'm
that's
sorry.
when they took action.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's
and
right.
so
his hand was forced.
yeah, so he had
Yeah.
to do it. Like there's no point in holding back at that point.
Yeah, he made the right choice, I think.
And it's super. I love how the beginning of that too is very a very funny kind of way of introducing Wayne too, because he's just like, yeah, like what are you doing here? He's like, I just checking up on you. I wanted to like talk to you. Like, I think you're right. And then they're like, yeah, they're robbing, and he obviously knows what's gonna happen. And he waits to like literally like the last second. Like he's like, yeah, you know what they're thinking they're gonna do. And Wax is like, yeah, if last time they robbed the thing, they're looking for high profile events. They robbed the theater.
Yeah.
They're looking for high profile events. He's like, oh my god! And immediately,
Wait,
it's just like,
aren't we at a high profile event?
doors bust in, and it's just like,
Well, so that's again another proof point of how Wayne is actually super capable. Like he came to all of that conclusion himself, and he's like, he'll get it.
Yeah.
but also kind of a douchebag for not being like, I'm gonna let him know before he goes to the event.
like,
I'm just gonna let the event
here's how
happen.
paranoid. I love the paranoia that Wax just has naturally. You're in his mind, and he's like, I better stand in this corner because there's 2 windows and a door right over there, and I just gotta watch out. And like everyone's commenting on how he just naturally is like super paranoid. You have Wayne who doesn't show it, but may be as knowledgeably paranoid just from being in the roughs. But where was I going with this point? There was a point to this. Damn it! I forgot it.
Josh was talking about how it was kind of a douchebag move for Wayne to wait until.
Oh yeah, that's it. So thank you. But I did love that scene because Wax is like, no, I didn't bring a gun. And then later he's like, I brought 2 guns. I'm like, so cinematic. It's so corny, but it's like,
I know.
Come on, that was great.
Yeah.
I want to see that shit. Come on, give it to me.
Yeah.
I didn't bring a gun. You know I always bring 2 guns.
I didn't dislike it at all, but
It's corny.
there definitely were aspects of this book as opposed to like the Stormlight books that just felt a little bit more tropey and cliche, you know.
That's
Just
what
a
I
little
mean.
bit, yeah.
I read too. Like,
Exact.
how many times have we seen that scene replayed in different
Yeah.
scenarios in a movie?
You call that a gun? That's not a gun. This is a gun. That's the only thing missing.
Yep.
I will
I'm
say-
sure it'll show up
Oh, yeah.
next book.
Yeah,
probably.
right.
I really like the chemistry between the two, even though it's like you said, it's played out in other stories.
Yeah.
But how like, oh, you're the ugly one, and oh, you're the ugly
Yeah,
one.
exactly. Right.
And they just like joke around with each other.
Mm-hmm.
I guess there is some proof point to the fact that keeps showing up over and over, because as much as we're like, oh, if you do it just a little bit okay, we're like, oh, that was cute.
Yeah.
It's still a good.
It's
like-
still, yeah. It didn't make me ever roll my eyes.
Yeah.
You know, I was never just like,
But it might have
God.
made Manny roll his eyes.
oh, of course. He's just,
Did it make you roll your eyes, Manny?
No. Yeah.
Man, it's like
It's like I wasn't
Maybe-
interested enough to roll my eyes.
Manny was still struggling there. He's like, I don't really care for
I
anyone.
liked Wayne. I really did. Anything where he was in there, I was like, okay, this character has got.
Yeah, Wayne
character.
was great.
I just the main character I thought was just so bland. So bleh.
Sometimes though, sometimes I feel like sometimes the main characters in certain stories have to be like the anchoring more bland point though. You know, like the least interesting character in Seinfeld is Seinfeld. Like everybody
yeah.
around Seinfeld are the interesting
It's
characters.
so like
you know what I mean?
out of control.
Yeah.
No, I get it. I
mean, I'm not. This isn't necessarily
wanna
one of
go
those
too
instances.
far.
Like, not everybody's like just crazy that you need that anchor point. But I don't know. Maybe that's kind of what
And-
he was going for.
And I certainly like Wayne.
I liked Wax,
I like
yeah.
Wax, so it's not for me. However, I could see that he's not like the most interesting character. He's a character who tends to do things right the first time.
He's definitely not a Kaladin, a Dalinar. You know, he's
Yeah.
not. He's definitely different from
Right.
almost any of the main
But
characters.
I like
Dresden.
him. I like him. He's definitely not.
It does feel though that he's a bit of like a second-rate Dresden though. So Manny probably having recently would be like,
Come
"It
on,
just
second
doesn't
rate
stand
is
up."
hard to tell. He's pretty cool, man.
I mean-
Anyway.
Yeah.
But I mean, his abilities, Dresden's abilities are harder. No.
That is-
I need
I
to
don't
read
know.
this series. You guys
Yeah.
always.
Yeah.
talk
Oh my
about
gosh,
it.
it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's good. It's
First, I
If
got
you want to read a good noir,
Yeah.
read Dresden.
Nice.
Dresden's good noir. But I will say though, I don't feel necessarily that I don't have that like kind of ammunition against Wax, but I can understand it. So I feel that because I can understand it, it's definitely, something that people have to deal with for sure. Different types of people as they're reading the book. But
who was the female from their past that made the guns?
oh, she was cool.
Ranette something.
Whatever I liked her character a lot, and I wish
Yeah.
we got more of her.
She's a lurcher
Yeah.
too.
yeah.
Her character is
Yeah.
hilarious.
She can pull. I liked her character.
I'm gonna kill you.
Well, I mean, we probably will get more from her because wasn't or am I thinking of someone else?
No, she makes their guns. She's got to come back.
But she's not the one that Wayne was in love with, right?
No,
Wayne is definitely in love with her.
It's Wayne. Not
That is the one.
Wayne
Okay,
has
yeah,
like
it was the same girl.
That's why he's like, you're not really my type because you can't kick my ass, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he visits her, and she's like, Wayne, if you come in here, I'm gonna shoot you.
Yeah.
He's like,
Which is again kind of a little bit of a cliche.
Ranette.
Ranette. Yeah.
Ranette.
But I liked it, and I want to see like a side book series with just them. I want them to get
if
married.
you touch anything in this house, I will blow your hand off. And he's like, touching stuff anyway.
Well, it's really funny because they were like, oh, like she's only shot him 3 times. And I'm like, especially after like this series is like, oh, he has to spend like a week bedridden. I'm like, oh my god, she's like shot him 3 times, and he's like each one that's a week of just like literally like being deathly sick in your bed. Like,
And I love how
sounds
like
terrible.
I love how like later he talks about he's like, how come every woman that knows I can't die always shoots at me? It's like maybe that should say something.
You should probably not tell him that you could die.
Yeah, exactly. Pretend
Yeah.
like you can die and see if they shoot at you.
Oh, man.
Actually,
Well,
going
I was
on
kind
there.
of surprised though that it took 300 years for them to come up with the clay bullets that Vin came up with in the first book of.
Oh, and she
Mistborn.
threw they were stones, right?
Well,
She-
yeah, with the metal things.
Yeah, she pushed the
Arrow
metal
tips.
rings, and then the arrow tips
Yeah.
were in there, and they're just now coming up with
Well,
bullet versions.
we don't know that it took him 300 years, but it's hard to put it into standard ammunition.
Well, I mean, other pushers could have come up with it.
oh, yeah. Yeah. That's a good point.
Think about most of those people though that were in the city or,
Man, I like
or anywhere
this.
close to her
Yeah.
are all dead.
Yeah.
Except
yeah,
Keep on
actually.
finding, keep on finding more ways that it's broken, Ben. Please.
All right, all right. I like that would be one of the things like people would have come up with. I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
like-
Vin, the thing that's sad is I think that there was probably a large period of time where there was not any of this going on.
Yeah. Well,
You
I
know,
mean,
it was all about rebuilding and surviving.
yeah. But
And
if you
then-
had those powers, wouldn't you be experimenting with them a bunch and messing around? And if you're getting fights with other people, like how can I?
I mean, it took him 3,000 years until Vin came up with it. So, just as a pusher. So, and in my opinion, it's like you just need the right person at the right time. But
Yeah, like Ranette, she could have done it. I don't know, like, why hasn't she?
Yeah.
she did, didn't she?
Yeah, I know she did. I feel like with this too. Oh man, I just had a thought and I totally lost it.
It's contagious.
Wait, keep thinking about it. I want to say so. You know Miles, right?
Yeah.
You know who it's funny because I just beat Spider-Man, the PlayStation 4
Miles
Spider-Man.
Morales.
And no, not the Miles Morales one,
Oh,
the one before it. And the entire time, this entire book series, I literally pictured Miles as Mr. Yi from Spider-Man. He's Mr. Negative because he's like has some ability like negative power, so he can draw energy from other people,
And
then
it's
he
always
uses it
negative.
to heal himself and stuff. So his name is like Mr. Negative. And the entire time I pictured Miles as Master.
Was
Mr.
he a
Yi.
negative Nancy too?
He was. He had not similar backstory, but he was a good guy.
Sorry,
and he,
Teddy Nancy's out there. I just
spoiler
had to
for
throw it.
spoiler for the game, but he's a good guy who ends up like you find out that he was wronged in his past, and he's like, I'm
It's
trying
like
to make
all
the world
Spider-Man,
better.
all
Yeah.
Spider-Man enemies are
exactly.
good guys.
But he's
in
like,
the
I'm trying to make
beginning
a
who are
better
wrong
world
to- turn evil.
by getting rid of these evil like it's government officials that are like not treating the people properly, but he's just killing everyone. So that's exactly what Miles is in this series.
Yeah.
Not all Spider-Man villains are like that, Jeffrey. You shut your mouth.
But this was also a bit of a
Making a
Hold on, name one that wasn't.
generalization.
Spawn.
Who's Spawn?
Spawn's a
mean
symbiote
Venom?
from another planet.
He means
that-
Venom.
No.
Oh, I meant Venom.
Oh, he
Oops,
did
my
mean
bad.
Venom.
Venom is actually
Spawn is DC, by the way.
Venom
right?
actually just recently saved the entire universe, by the way, in Marvel. So he definitely is
But
still a bit
He's
of a
a
good guy.
anti-hero.
He's an anti-hero.
Rock,
yeah.
who was a reporter and obsessed with Spider-Man.
He was a
He was
jerk.
also
he
a
was,
jock.
Yeah,
A
he was
bully
the jerk
jock.
that treated him really poorly.
But Manny, just because you're a bully doesn't actually mean you're a bad guy.
Yeah, you
Just
should
means
know
you're
that.
It
stuff.
does.
You're a bully, Manny.
Just because you're a bad guy does not mean you are a bad guy.
I'm not a real bully.
Let's get back to this fucking
Not a fake
Excuse
bully.
my French. Again. All right, let's get back to this book. So,
No, but I remembered what my thought was.
oh,
Like in this book, I felt like even though people had
Elemency.
elemency, like I feel like they didn't really cherish it as much as they did in the past. But I feel like they should because it seems like it's dying out
Or more rare.
or more rare, which was really like weird for me to be able to understand.
Yeah, it did seem interesting that it was like the main character was just like, screw you, family, I'm like leaving, and he just kind of like went out to the roughs and he became like a lawman. Whereas like in the olden times, like if you had elementic powers, you were just like, you're either like you're killed or you're like immediately like high class, like you're used. You are like society like holds you up so high that this felt very much like they treated it almost like it was more normal. Because they were just
so
like, oh,
nonchalant.
he was, what is it called? A
Twinborn.
trueborn, a
Twin.
twinborn.
Twinborn.
Like you're a twinborn, and they're just like, oh, you're gonna go and just play sheriff in the Wild West. Like, sure, okay. Whereas like it felt like in Vin's time, it would have been like, no, you were being forced into like
You're the next heir of the family.
exactly
But,
like
however-
we need you.
But
Yeah,
the
they-
houses have less power now than they
Yeah,
did.
they do. It was
before.
all restructured. Everything was
Yeah.
restructured 300 years ago, and it's not perfect, but they made a big step from where they were. But like, yet there's issues, as any human society will find, right?
Yeah.
So like, what we're gonna find out, I think, in the trilogy is more about the reality around this. Because remember, this was a bridge book.
Yeah.
So we got certain characters, but
Yeah,
we
we
didn't
know that
get.
it's a bridge book, but we're talking about this book.
I'm
Is that not
saying
what the
we might
conversation
get
is
our
about?
answer.
No, I
we
agree.
might get our answer.
I'm
right?
I'm
We might.
hoping because there are 16 both elementic metals plus feruchemy like
Yeah.
abilities.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we get to see at least a character or some form all of those because it also is just like the what's her name, Marcy
Yeah.
Marcy.
Lady Marcy.
Marcy.
Mhm.
She her character, like they're like, oh, you've got like a unusable one, and it's like there were like in
That drove me nuts.
society, like literally there that'd be like, okay, you can use this, like
That's why I was talking
Yeah.
about underground welders. I mean,
Like,
underwater
hey, you have a
welders.
special power, but your special power is useless.
I was thinking about the economy
yeah,
when
there
we
was
have these
like
abilities.
hide it. Where it would, if it was just like she's just like, hey, I'll lose a week of my life to make like she could charge someone, be like, oh, you're looking for your vacation next week. Give me like $5,000,
So
and
wait.
that'll be here in like
I
a
got
couple
something
hours.
for you right now. So here's what we don't know yet, and I hope we find out. We don't know, like, this weird future that we're in now, 300 years from the cataclysmic event, world-changing event of the Hero of Ages rising. What we don't know is how many people have this ability now at this time. Is it like Hero, My Hero Academia? Like where 80% of the population has some form or another of an ability, and therefore it's going to be built into the economy and the ecosystem that you like live in? Or is it like 30%? Or
Yeah, that we
is
don't
it-
know.
We don't know this yet, but
we don't
I'm getting,
know this.
yeah, but I am getting the sense that it's more common than it was.
I do like, so one of the things that some of the stuff that they said that were cool, like, oh, you need to go see a doctor, but instead of a doctor, it was literally just like a soother that would just be like, oh, you go to a parlor and it just like reduces your stress. It's just like,
Yeah.
like, that sounds great. Instead of like, it's like a weed bar now or something. You just go and you're just like, I'm gonna zone out. You're like, I feel good, guys. Like, that's awesome. And some of that stuff.
Stressed out.
I do hope that we get a lot more, because I felt too, like, especially it was weird because at the end of the book, they're like, oh, here are all the elementic powers and here are all the ferochemical powers. And I was like, I want to read so much about all these. Like,
I think we'll see more, but we won't see all of them. in
all
the
of them.
series.
Yeah, which is a bit disappointing, but
There is 2 more eras,
Yeah.
so
yeah.
2 more eras?
yeah. There's this Western noir era, then there's a modern era, like where we live, then there's a sci-fi era.
Oh, wow.
So,
Those aren't written yet, though. This is the last written era.
yes.
Oh, okay.
He
well,
plans on this being
I
a
might
12
never
book,
see them.
a 12-book series.
Why wouldn't you see them?
Yeah, Manny's really old. I
It
don't think
takes
he'll make
forever.
it.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll make it. Like,
Dude, this is Brandon Sanderson. He's pumping out like 3 books a year.
Yeah.
That's true.
The next books that he's pumping out this year are Skyward 3 and this Mistborn book, as well as some other... Mistborn script.
Along with 300 short stories.
Yeah, probably that too.
Yeah.
The guy's a machine.
He is a machine. Yeah. He's a very consistent writer. His schedule was amazing. I wonder how close he lives to it after that YouTube interview.
George R. R. Martin should just hire him to finish Game of Thrones.
The writing styles are way too different. I don't think.
I know, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah. I don't think Sanderson could write a satisfactory ending for that.
Well, so we get anyway through the amazing battle scene, which I actually enjoyed, and we get to meet Marcy and the limited amount of characters that we get to have here. I did like, though, the conflict that Waximilian has to deal with in terms of, his house is responsible for several hundred, just thousands of people's lives. Just knowing that he's essentially a CEO now, but taking that responsibility seriously and weighing it. I appreciated that. I enjoyed the espionage or the like kind of give and take that he had with Miles, who's another lawman who they're close. And Miles had obviously been planning these
Robberies.
robberies for so long because of his experience in law. So I thought that was kind of cool. you got like a feel for this, and then obviously the battle at the end was pretty awesome. Because essentially it felt to me, I don't know if you guys felt like this, but I felt like it's almost like the Terminator with Miles. It's like, oh, you know Miles is after you, he's come to kill you. You find out he's coming to kill you, win, and you're like, well, he's immortal, so I'm pretty much
He'll be
like...
back.
Yeah, like, exactly. So, like...
What was the one that...
it's the Terminator.
Yeah.
What
So
was
it's
like the
like
melted metal one? That guy, the TI...
the T-2000.
Or T-2000? The
Yeah.
one that, like, literally could just, like, walk through walls. But he's just, like, he gets shot in the face and just, like, heals.
That's how I felt.
I know.
Exactly.
So
yeah,
I was
I agree
like,
with that.
well, shit. Like, of course, he's Wax, though, his attitude de-stressed me. Normally, in a book, when you're reading and you're like, that guy's going to come and come and come until you're dead, you have, like, a level of
Or
stress.
until you're pregnant.
Calming, he's always calming.
and instead I'm like, Wax is like, no, we just need a safe spot to hang out for a little bit till I make a plan, and then we're gonna go. And I'm like,
Okay.
yeah, I feel better.
Okay. The way Jeff said that, I'm like, I feel better.
It's I think they did a good job of like actually making him seem scary, but I almost felt the opposite. I'm just like, all this guy can do is just like heal himself. That's it. Like you
Hence
okay.
to trap him and
Yeah, you just literally
but
like
he can
run
heal
up
himself.
and grab
He's
him.
got Wolverine level healing.
Exactly, but my thought was just like you just run up and grab him in a bear hug. I'm like, all right, I got you. Like,
Gotcha.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that would be
like-
great if he
but-
wasn't like
'cause
a
he-
world class
that's
sniper,
true.
killer, lawman, and brawler.
I think he also said that he's like amazing in like a knife fight.
Yeah, knife
or
fight and
whatever,
like hand
right?
to hand.
Yeah, like
of
he's
course.
really good
I
hand
mean,
to
he's
hand.
clearly
But
he hasn't filled age.
But the whole thing, I was just
pain
like, they kept being like, oh,
ages.
he's like immortal, you can't die. I'm like, yeah.
Just like that. Oh, he immortal.
But my thought was like, you just throw him in jail, and it's just like, oh yeah, what are your powers gonna do for you
But
now?
to capture him.
They gotta
first.
get
Yeah,
him.
that's the thing. is
That's
you
the
gotta
thing for his men to make them understand that they can't betray him.
He like shot
He shot himself with a
shotgun.
shotgun in the head,
Yeah.
and
should
then
just build
like
a-
healed and was like, "That's right, motherfuckers."
yeah,
Yeah,
but he's
friend.
not. Just like Josh says, though, like he can heal, but what if you don't? What if you just capture him?
You just keep beating
You could
the
outnumber the people,
Well,
the number of people that grabbed him.
Exactly, which is obviously what happened. Finally, but you got to
Well,
catch him.
but even
They
then,
just
like,
gotta build a inescapable blue room.
Yeah. Remember, he was a lawman for a long time. Someone you didn't want to capture. By the time you found out he was somebody to capture, it was just a few people
Yeah.
trying to
And
do it.
I-
But you're right. In the end, if you knew he was
I feel
an
like
enemy,
if you're like, okay, I'm fighting this guy, like, oh, he didn't seem like an insurmountable boss. It's like, oh, what's his weakness? It's just like get 3 people.
But the thing is,
Once you have 3 people, it's just like you're a normal guy trying to fight.
how
3
are we
people.
ever gonna
Well,
get
not
3
normal, though.
people?
I don't want to say
Exactly,
normal.
right.
Like he's still very good at what he does.
I
right? You
agree,
can't
but I
take
the thing is,
that away
like,
from
you
him.
get 3 people close to him, and then he's not gonna just stand there. And
True.
he's not afraid of pain.
But you just start beating him up. Like eventually, like you. I guess
Although he
okay, we're all
obviously
gonna
plans for
try
that.
it
They
out.
almost
Yeah.
captured him that one time, and he's just like, "Oh, by the way,
I have
dynamite."
done exactly.
See you later.
The thing
Yeah.
is, you need to get him in a spot where he doesn't have any of his stuff or wear him down. But you
Yeah.
need people who are gonna die.
Yeah.
So who's the first then?
Yeah, well, I just felt like
The butler.
Yeah, I just felt like if you like surround him and he like pulls out a knife and then you just take the knife away, you're like, okay, yeah, you can keep punching us, but we're just drag you to the ground and then it's done. Like it felt a lot of the times like how they described him was like, oh, we can't beat him, and I
Well,
was
no,
just
no,
like,
but what I
can't
got
kill
was
him.
so most of those descriptions were from Waxamillion's perspective.
Yeah.
And both Miles and Wax thought the absolute most of each other, in case you notice. Like,
Yeah.
Miles was always like, there's not a better man. There's not better. You're an army in yourself. Like,
Yeah.
And like, so he had the same respect for Miles. And so most of that was coming from Wax, who knew what it takes to fight him. And he's thinking from the
I
roughs,
respect
like,
you so much, I gotta kill you.
well, he knew Pilgrim. Good one. He knew though when he would like go after him, he's like, I don't know if I could take him. You're talking about a guy who could take out, like, for example, in an army,
Yeah.
or or 26 guys in a fight and then crush like who knows how many in a building or like whatever he did. He did some massive stuff. And he's like, I don't know if I could take him because I would crush him and he would just keep healing. And then we're all gunfighting. So it only takes the one stray bullet, at least for Wax.
Yeah.
So, it's that trade-off. But when you're right. When you think about it, you send an army against him, he's done. You'll capture him.
Yeah.
Nets, he'll blow him.
I think they did a fairly good job, though, of kind of showing what he could do. And a lot of it felt to me that it was like, oh, we're showing what he could do in the right situation. Like, it was like one-on-one. Like, or like, he's walking at me, I've got my gun. What do I do? Like, he's going to beat me in a hand
If
fight.
you could avoid getting hit, though, which Miles couldn't, because Wax killed him a few times, would have killed him a few times in each battle. But when Wax did his weight thing when he was steel pushed and crushed an entire building, that was freaking insane.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where it's like, I felt like Wax's powers, like, in terms of, like,
that combo is so
Wax
strong.
was
That's
nuts.
like the same.
To be able to,
But the thing is, he did it. He couldn't do that again.
no, it's a one
It
move.
took him months or years to store up that much weight.
Yep.
And so, like, the same thing, if you're fighting Wax, you just need to make him use his powers, and now he's helpless. He has only his pushing powers.
Yeah.
Which isn't a sad thing, but it
But
is.
he just having a little
Well,
bit
but he
of
also, he can always make himself lighter. Like, because that's the give part, which is still
No,
super
but I mean,
powerful.
to do enough weight to do that,
That's nuts.
that's a lot. That's
Well, it's
lot
like
of weight.
compounding too. So it's not like it's like to become double your weight, you're using the double what you've saved up, and to become 4 times your weight, you're using quadruple what you saved up. So like, or 4 times of the time it took you to save up. So if it takes you 10 minutes to save up, whatever. So like he's like 100-fold. That's just like I've just everything. And this has been like the last year, exactly what Ben said.
Well, the best thing is, like he says, he normally walks around lighter.
At a third, yeah. Or,
So-
2/3 or a 3/4. He says something
Yeah,
like
like
that.
3/4 of his weight.
Yeah, and who the hell would not? That sounds great. Like
I would be worried about how that would impact my muscles.
Your
to
joints
be
and
honest.
stuff.
It
Yeah,
seems
you
like
wouldn't
it
care.
won't, because when he walks around with like double or triple his weight,
it's not like he's using more energy.
more energy to move.
The investor of this system actually seems to not, and also physics works the same way. It doesn't like change some of that stuff.
Yeah, he keeps
so,
saying he's
yeah.
like, oh, I'm like double the weight, but I'm not gonna fall faster because that falling's just based off of gravity and doesn't matter about weight.
Yeah.
But I think that was a lot of cool stuff, and I think that would save him. So he could literally walk around a lighter weight and still retain strength, not have to worry about degradation of muscles or so, like you would. If
Which
you were
also
to
means that potentially Wayne would not
Oh,
age or
you're
whatever
right.
inside the bubble.
Good point.
So
Problem solved.
Problem solved. We figured
We've
it
got
out.
our own Wikipedia
Hey.
right here.
Seems like speed bubbles would
We
be a
don't
great
need
thing to
you.
use in high school. Then.
At all times. I just
we're gonna
thought
be
of-
like all proud of ourselves, and then like Ashlyn or Amalia is gonna be like, actually, Sanderson said in an interview.
yeah. We're like, oh no.
Fuck.
Whatever. That's actually we appreciate that because then we talk about it next time.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is important.
Love it. Live it.
I think one thing that
Laugh it.
this is jumping towards like the very end.
Twist it.
I
Pull
liked
it.
the last fight scene a ton. I already knew. I had a very good idea of how they would use Marisi's power.
Mm-hmm.
I
I did as well.
the
Not because I read it
shot
before.
out. Yeah, of course
because
not.
I literally forgot, but because it was kind of becoming evident.
It's
in how-
amazing.
Jeff knew.
It's
Jeff
amazing
knew.
how often Jeff is correct about the things he forgot.
No, but like honestly, it made a ton of sense. So because it's like my powers suck. How could I even use these? And I'm like, well, you could trap some people.
she's gonna
How
use
long?
them.
You said a whole room? Oh, you're fine.
I know, yeah. The one thing that I was a little not disappointed in, but I didn't enjoy that much was the way that he shot the Kolas blood guy, where he shot the bullet and he's like watching the trajectory, and then he shoots another bullet that
After he drops it,
ricochets
yeah.
off of it, and
It's advanced maneuver for sure.
I was my
much? Too much for
my
you?
first thought was, yeah, too much, also physically impossible. Because
Well, no, he could push the other bullet.
oh, so yeah, I guess if he pushes the bullet to be faster, which
Yeah.
does he do that? Did they say that he pushed the bullet?
Let's assume he does.
I don't know.
Okay, we're gonna assume he does. But I was just
He does
like,
push most bullets. Even in the beginning, he was pushing his bullets.
Anyway.
yeah, he did do that. But it was just to be like, I'm gonna shoot a bullet mid-air and like ricochet it to go around a person's head to like hit them in the head. That seemed just like they described.
Seems like
he's
he learned
the,
his lesson from.
but
his
they
whole-
described it. He's like the best shot in the world.
Okay.
But that's like
Okay,
I felt a little bit too much like that is a not. That is
Believable
a
scenario.
I think the way that it would have worked better if they tried to push more that, like, it was like, Tazed's like, just trust me, shoot it, versus, like, he's like, I'm gonna shoot this, and then I'm gonna aim at that bullet and hit
Actually-
it. Like, I get that we could describe it a way that he did have some help.
But we have
there.
to describe it away. So I understand.
But I feel like I also felt like I'm like, oh, that just
we
feels
have to.
so ridiculous.
I actually would have liked it if he had to make the same choice he made before, and then
and then
Yeah.
shot her through the head.
again.
like, or like
Damn.
actually,
Worth it.
I thought it would be a redemption. It would be like
Right.
a full
like
circle.
I still
thing.
can
Right.
make this shot.
I can make the
Well,
shot.
the only problem was the guy was short and he couldn't hit his head.
That is actually the problem. Why he didn't take that shot.
And why did you look right at me when you said that?
He was short, he was bald, and he couldn't shoot him in the
He's
head.
not very funny.
Short, fun, ugly.
Bar director every
Oh,
time.
dang.
Yeah, but he couldn't shoot the guy in the head
Yeah.
without shooting through her body.
Yeah, I just felt like
And why is that guy short, by the way? Because he's colorless blooded and,
and
he
he's
will grow
younger indefinitely.
until- Exactly.
He
That's
died.
crazy. It's crazy. Because that's back to the old Mistborn Kolas. They start out a certain
Like
height,
5
like
foot,
6
and they
foot
just
or
keep
whatever,
growing.
and they just grow to 20 or 30 feet. So I
And then
wonder.
they die because their limbs can't keep up with them.
Well, I think
Their
we're going to
skin rips
learn
off
a
their
lot about Kolas in this series.
No, I thought they died because their body couldn't handle pumping.
Yeah.
Oh, their heart, yeah, because they got too big.
I think we're going to learn a lot.
Yeah.
So,
Like the
Spoilers, because Jeff's read the series. Guys.
no, I don't remember any of it.
But let's make a
We're gonna learn a lot in these next two books I've already read.
Yeah. I got a feeling, and trust me, I don't know this, guys, but let's do a prep bet.
Yeah.
That next book on page 32.
Hey, listen, you guys give me shit, but I really don't remember.
I think Josh does a really good impersonation of Jeff.
All right.
I think it was good.
All right, so we end up, Uncle is still alive. Uncle!
Uncle!
Pan, pan.
So smashing plates off. Pun.
So what do we think? We didn't save. We saved
I need to watch Rumble in the Bronx.
betrothed, but we did not save the other 5, 6, or 15 ladies that are now in a breeding
Yeah.
program, probably. And then secondly, Uncle's still around, and he's like completely undeterred by being
He's the
found
suit.
out.
Talked about that. One thing.
Yeah.
She
Before
got
we get too
saved
far.
from a breeding program. A breeding program.
They're definitely feeding to us. This is my Brett bet. They're feeding the breeding program. It's actually going to have to do with hemorrhagery? Hemorrhagy? What's the one where they take the spikes?
Hemalurgy?
Hemorrhagy. It's that.
They're killing
get-
people with hemorrhagy.
No, they're stealing powers. That's it. That's my Brett bet. That they're misleading us that it's a breeding
They're
program
making
and
a
that
Mistborn.
they're using the hemorrhagy to create. They're trying to get one of each powers.
There's a Brett bet.
What is
Oh,
it?
It's
It's
the
not a breeding
women stolen-
program?
It's not a breeding program. It's a hemorrhagy.
Why only women then?
Just because they just that like, oh, we're keeping up a facade. We're gonna take women captive. Obviously, you're not gonna be like, we're taking men. But those
But
are
it
all,
was supposed to be like. Anyway, we'll take the bets first. Brett says. Josh says yes.
no, I don't. I say no. You're right.
Ben says.
Oh wait, I'm next.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. I'm gonna say no.
Ooh.
Ben's gonna say
I'm
no.
gonna
Chose
say
the
yes
wrong
to.
answer.
Mammy?
I'm gonna go with no as well. I don't
Yes,
think that
it's
it's
looking appealing.
I don't think it's the whole breeding thing either, but I think it's something else.
So,
Okay.
are you saying yes then?
No, I'm saying no because I don't think it's exactly
doesn't
what
think-
Josh is saying.
Oh.
So okay, Brett, I'll put a little bonus thing, but not breeding.
I've definitely got to go last. I don't remember though, so
Manny doesn't
I may
like
not
the
even
idea
know.
of straights breeding, so that's why he has an
Yeah, first
aversion
of
to
all,
it.
that's disgusting.
It's disgusting.
Like, we don't want any more of you.
The world's populated enough straights.
Yeah, you know.
Right, director?
Wait, Brent, what's that joke? I don't know if you've heard the joke on TikTok, but they're like, the girl's like, God made men, and he was like, oh, no, that's not right. And then he made women, and he's like, whoa, well, that's too much. And then he made gay men, and he was like, yeah, that's it.
Manny's on gay TikTok.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna be on my algorithm.
That algorithm is super powerful.
Manny's algorithm is Asian dude, Asian dude, Asian dude, Asian dude, gay joke, Asian dude, Asian dude, Asian dude.
Yeah, you got it down.
I can program these algorithms. I'm going
The
to
only thing you
say
missed is K-pop in there.
K-pop, Asian dude, gay joke, K-pop, Asian dude.
Yeah, I was gonna say those algorithms are powerful, man.
I'm gonna go with. I kind of want to know what Jeff is gonna say. 'Cause
Nope, no, I'm going last. I gotta go last.
I'll go with yes then. But if Jeff says yes, I'm gonna go with no.
What's the question again?
Not because of Jeff, but just because I
Question
don't
is-
want
is
Josh
that
to be alone.
The women stole.
Not breeding program,
is
but
not a breeding-
hemalurgy.
but hemalurgy.
Oh man, that's
Wait, say that
that's
again?
a tough one.
The women that have been kidnapped are not being used in a breeding program.
What,
That's
hemalurgy?
that is a. I think that's a.
I'll say
cover-up,
yes.
And that it's actually hemalurgy.
You'll
don't
say
remember
yes.
any.
Okay.
Haha,
I'm
guys.
saying no.
I win. Jeff knows.
I don't remember it.
I'm gonna go
also.
with no as well.
And also, the last book's
You
not
changed
even out.
it after he answered.
No, I changed it before.
Okay.
I did. Just because I don't know the hemalurgy. It just seems like seems tough.
Here's my argument.
tough.
My argument is because I don't know at all. My argument though is
you protest a lot for someone that's not guilty,
Listen
Jeff.
to
Because
this.
I don't know. I swear to God, I don't know.
I don't know, dude, but I don't know.
Listen to this. Hemalurgy, the one thing that's creeping me out is
But
it's
I don't
gotta come
know.
back. It's got to.
It's what? It's got to come back.
How could it just not?
Yeah, I mean,
how could it-
obviously,
It's
why
one
would
of
he
the
have
three.
Marsh
Yeah.
come back at the end?
Damn it.
Like, obviously, there's foreshadowing there.
How could it
Hello,
not?
Marsh.
Like, how could it not? Like, hemalurgy has to come back somehow. It's a power of ruin. It's
Yeah.
got to come back.
That's what I got.
My
I
opinion.
called it.
But Marsh and Sazed, as far as we know, they have nothing to do with the people that are kidnapping, right? They're
Yeah.
a different.
We would assume they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, we absolutely.
So
Sausage,
why would-
I don't think is with
so if
anything because he
Marsh
can't
wanted
show
hemalurgy
favorites.
to come back, why would?
So real quickly,
I don't think Marsh wants hemalurgy to come
Oh, I
back.
thought somebody said that. Maybe I missed.
No,
it.
I'm just saying, like, hemalurgy, maybe, seems like it should make an appearance.
Yeah.
real quickly,
all.
book 1 and 2. When did those come out in relation to Stormlight?
Before.
Before. Long
Both
before.
of
The whole series came
Yeah.
out before.
But there's book 3 hasn't come out yet.
Of this.
Oh,
Of
this one.
this era?
Yeah, no, I'm
Oh,
this era.
dang. Book 1. No. All 3 of the books that are out came out before Stormlight 1.
Okay. Because I keep thinking, and that takes away a little bit, but I keep feeling like, is the
So are you feeling or are you thinking?
I'm
Doing
feeling
both.
my
Feeling-
thoughts.
I feel like I'm gonna think something.
I'm feeling my thoughts. I honestly think now I don't know which one to choose. That my initial like how I thought the series was gonna go was gonna be towards a we're gonna have not a breakthrough, but we're gonna have a Cosmere like all of a sudden we
Crossover?
have no, not a crossover, but a Cosmere level enemy. Because
Oh.
when we look
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
first 3 books, like it's literally ruin and preservation. So we now just have Harmony. So we know at this point of Harmony's level. And so any enemy that would come would obviously have to be like, I guess Harmony just being like, I'm going to roll over and just let this happen.
Also,
or
Sazed has journals in Stormlight.
Exactly. And my thought was that, is this the enemy here is going to be someone trying to, again, either break up the shards or trying to take the shard away to get a new level of power. So we're going to get like one of these Cosmere jumping entities.
What
something
if it's Terravodium?
Or I was going to say
Odavangian.
What's
Terravodium?
Yeah,
Ghost blood.
Terravodium.
Or Odavangian.
What's Mray's
He's a
Ghost
Ghost
Bloods?
Blood,
Yeah.
like
What if it's like
Terravodium.
literally a Ghost Bloods being like,
mean,
we're trying to get this level of power?
There could be Ghost Bloods in this book. The
Right?
organization exists across multiple worlds.
And
Yes,
that's
yes,
what
yes,
I was
yes.
thinking. But I feel like that's less of an option now that it's like, because I feel like maybe books moving forward are going to have that, because it feels like the big reveal of that was in Stormlight. But if these came like somewhere in between or more recently, I would say, okay, maybe there's a chance that
But
this happened here
Sanderson
too.
is like a habitual outliner. He could have planned it early.
Yeah.
That's true, and maybe like we'll find out in the book that's coming out soon.
Right.
But
Someone
I
is a
feel
Ghost
like
Blood, yeah.
that is going to be that we're going to find out that like we're getting this early intervention by Harmony, because he's like, there is literally I know about it, and he's like, I've set up my laws myself and I can't intervene to stop this. Like I can't intervene in these otherworldly beings.
His natures may
prevent
be-
him. Or,
Yeah, so like he may be just very careful how he presses that. Because if he presses it too far one way, the other side may
retaliate or like get more
Right.
power over him.
Yeah. Also, in the fourth book of Stormlight, one of the journals from Saz's perspective at the beginning of the chapters was like, I wish these people wouldn't hide and just tell me I'm here, or like hide from me. Something along those lines. But it sounded like those world hoppers in his world that he knew about, but they're trying to hide from him.
Do you? I don't know. It's hard because I don't have as good of a picture of it all as you guys. So sometimes I'm just like, I don't know if this makes any sense. But is there a possibility that the people that were hunting for Wit in? Oh wait, this is
actually
don't
one of them.
Stormlight stuff.
Yeah. Don't know
Yeah,
what's
we don't
Yeah.
want we want to be careful, but there is definitely one character who was hunting for Wit that was a crossover from Mistborn.
Right. And I was curious if maybe they could be like Team
Era
with
1,
Sazed
though.
or
Era
something.
1, not Era 2.
That's true. Yeah,
So,
that's true.
but
And we talked about that when we talked about the first three. I think.
there's a lot. I don't know. We're gonna have to find out. And I got to admit, I'm super pumped to read these books and
To
here's-
reread.
Me too.
But to me, it feels like the first time.
Poor K-pop.
Well, I think Manny. Hopefully, I'm really curious to see, and I appreciate Manny you giving us this time because I really do want to know what you think as the story evolves, and if we're gonna evolve over 4 eras, I want your opinion on all the eras, even if it's negative. Because to be honest,
Wait.
We need
How do
that.
you know that's going to be negative? Why?
I said even if
your opinion
Even when
of it
you have
doesn't
the wrong
improve.
opinion,
Yeah.
no,
we're
even,
still laugh at you
Opinion?
after the camera gets turned off.
That's not what I said, Manny.
He said that before the camera got turned on.
Manny was here before you were, and he was on camera the whole time. So anyway, but I wish Captain was here because I'd be really curious to hear his thoughts on this one. I hope we could get him caught up for the next one. I hope so
I hope so.
because I'm curious on
He's
this
probably
one.
still got to catch up on the last Mistborn books.
I think
he
he's
never
reading
finished.
it. No, he's skipping them.
Yeah, his plan was just to skip him and jump in with us here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, he's gonna go back. He's gonna do it like some people do, which is
Yeah.
pick up one series and read it. And I think that'd be a great perspective. I warned Andrew. I said as long as you don't care about like
Spoilers.
Yeah.
yeah. So all right. Well, anything else? Any last? We all have one Brett bet from Josh. Anything else?
Yeah.
If not, I think
No, I think
done it all.
I think we're good. I'm excited to get into the official books of Era 2.
Yeah, it's very. I'm almost like, oh man, how much is it going to be different than this?
you know what's funny too is he's in the process of writing the finale.
The finale.
So-
Finally.
And he's writing it with an aluminium pen.
And listen to this.
Wow, you had to.
I don't know. We may end up doing a Skyward Book 3 before
the
Mistborn
finish of this.
Era 2 Book 3.
Skyward.
So I don't know.
fucking love Skyward.
I don't know, man. We're going to play that by ear. We've got a list of books to do. However, we're going to go through what we have available now.
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 Dig him out.
Now.
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 And then to the next.
To the next.
Cheers.
Cheers.